The different religions have different names. The Jews called the two arches together the Gate of Mercy. According to Jewish tradition, the Messiah will enter Jerusalem through this gate. For centuries, the gate said to stay shut until the return of Jesus has never moved. Not an inch. Yet now, for the first time in living memory, it's beginning to shift. Not because anyone tried to force it, not because of chance, but because of something that feels far beyond human strength. This is more than ancient stone shifting. To many, it feels like a prophecy waking up. Around the world, millions believe this gate will only open at one of the most important moments in human history. And suddenly, something is happening that no one ever imagined. Word is spreading at lightning speed from temples to churches to mosques. Pilgrims are rushing to Jerusalem, not for sightseeing, but to witness what some are calling a sign. A gate that has endured sultans, invaders, earthquakes, and 500 years of silence is showing signs of movement. The Golden Gate of Jerusalem, sealed in fear, surrounded by tombs, wrapped in myth, may finally be hinting at the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy that many believe could mark the beginning of the end times. If you want to understand what's unfolding, what hasn't been publicly revealed, and why this moment might be more important than ever, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. For more than 500 years, the gate has remained untouched. Other entrances to Jerusalem's old city have been restored, reopened, or rebuilt, but not this one. This single gate has resisted every attempt to alter it. It stands frozen in time, not by human choice, but according to believers, by divine appointment. The Golden Gate faces the Mount of Olives, the exact place where prophecy says the Messiah will appear. In Jewish belief, their Messiah will enter through this gate. In Christianity, Jesus is expected to return and pass through it again. Two faiths, one doorway, and a shared expectation. But here's what has everyone talking. After centuries of absolute stillness, something has changed. Local residents claim they've seen unusual movement and strange activity around the gate. Religious leaders from multiple traditions have held quiet, urgent meetings. And perhaps most telling of all, the mainstream media has stayed completely silent. When prophecy begins to unfold, it rarely announces its arrival. There are no headlines, no declarations, just quiet hints, whispers, subtle signs that only those watching closely ever notice. And now, new claims suggest that parts of the gate's interior have been accessed. Again, no ceremony, no public notice, just a sudden, unexplained disturbance. One that has both believers and skeptics feeling uneasy. Because if the ancient prophecies are right, this isn't simply a gate being opened. It's not just another historical moment. It could be the beginning of something far greater, something world-shaking, even apocalyptic. Back in 1541, Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent didn't seal the Golden Gate on a whim. According to newly translated Ottoman records, the truth was far more unsettling. The Sultan had been plagued by recurring dreams. Visions of a mysterious, radiant figure approaching Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives, walking through the Eastern Gate and transforming the entire city. Troubled by these visions, Suleiman sought answers. He met with Jewish rabbis, Christian priests, and Islamic scholars, and all three, despite their different beliefs, told him the same thing. This gate carried enormous prophetic significance. It was tied to the events of the end times. So Suleiman didn't just close the gate. He tried to seal away the prophecy itself. But even that didn't feel like enough. He ordered a Muslim cemetery to be built right in front of it, creating a double barrier. First, the graves would create ritual impurity, preventing Jewish priests from approaching. Second, Suleiman believed that if a true Messiah ever came, he would have to raise the dead just to step through, performing resurrection as his first act. Ironically, the very barrier Suleiman built to stop the prophecy may have ended up becoming part of it. What he meant as a blockade might have become preparation. Prophecy has a way of turning human resistance into part of the story itself. And the cemetery in front of the gate wasn't just placed there by chance. By lining the path with graves, Suleiman unknowingly created the ultimate test of divine authority. Only someone with power over life and death could pass through. Only someone capable of raising the dead could cross that line. In trying to stop prophecy, the Sultan may have actually set the perfect stage for it. 2,000 years ago, Jesus entered Jerusalem along this very route. He came from the Mount of Olives. He rode on a donkey. He passed through the Eastern Gate. Every step fulfilled prophecy down to the smallest detail. Centuries earlier, the prophet Zechariah had declared, "Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion! Your king is coming to you humble and riding on a donkey." Jesus fulfilled that prophecy exactly. But the prophecy doesn't end with his first arrival. Zechariah 14:4 describes another moment still ahead. On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem, and the mountain will split in two. The same mountain, the same direction, the same gate. But this time, his return won't resemble his humble entry, not a gentle teacher on a donkey, but a sovereign king whose very footsteps shake the earth. The gate that once welcomed the Prince of Peace is destined to receive the King of Kings. The doorway that opened for the Lamb will one day open for the Lion of Judah. The same prophetic stage, but an entirely different kind of entrance. Now you can understand why every attempt to modify or remove this gate has been met with strange, sudden obstacles. It's not just an ancient structure. It's the chosen entry point for the most significant moment the world will ever witness. In 1917, Muslim authorities planned to demolish the gate completely. But on that very day, British forces took control of Jerusalem, bringing the destruction to an immediate stop. In 1967, during the Six-Day War, Israeli forces had full authority to reopen the gate. But before they could act, a respected rabbi stepped forward with a simple warning. Only the Messiah may enter here. And this pattern stretches back centuries. Ottoman engineers once tried to modify the gate, but their tools repeatedly failed for no identifiable reason. British archaeologists attempted to dig near its foundation, only to be abruptly transferred to other assignments. In 1948, Jordanian forces tried reinforcing the gate. Yet, every drill bit snapped and every explosive. Misfired. It's as if the gate itself refuses to be touched. Time and again, attempts to alter it collapse, not through human resistance, but as though something greater is guarding it until the appointed moment. Meanwhile, every other ancient structure in Jerusalem's old city shows its age, cracks, erosion, weather damage. But the Golden Gate, stonemasons say its condition defies explanation. It looks almost untouched, as if time moves differently around this prophetic passage. Then came 2019, and everything escalated. During Ramadan, a maintenance worker claimed he heard voices praying from inside the sealed chambers of the Golden Gate. At that exact time, the Temple Mount security cameras, normally monitoring every inch, mysteriously malfunctioned, but only around the gate. The most critical footage simply disappeared. Soon after, blurry photos began to spread. They showed a strange, flickering light glowing from within the blocked interior. No lamps, no openings, no natural source. The light pulsed steadily, almost like a heartbeat. Quietly, religious leaders from Judaism, Christianity, and Islam were shown the images. None offered a public statement. All requested that the photos be kept private. And the strangest part of all, the reaction from Israeli authorities. Normally, any unusual event on the Temple Mount triggers immediate investigations and public announcements. But this time, nothing. No statements, no clarifications, not even denials. Just complete, intentional silence. And that silence has only made the mystery deeper. When governments stay silent about something this significant, that silence often says more than any official statement ever could. Prophecy rarely arrives with announcements or breaking news. Instead, it reveals itself through patterns that don't feel random, through shared visions, through ancient scriptures suddenly making perfect sense in the present. Jesus warned that his return would be like the days of Noah. Everyday life moving on normally right up until the moment everything changes in a heartbeat. The idea that the inner chambers might be opening while the outer gate remains sealed fits that prophetic pattern exactly. There is always a hidden stage before the visible one, a private preparation before a public unveiling, a whisper before a shout. Whatever is happening inside the Golden Gate right now may not be the final fulfillment, but it could be the spiritual groundwork for what's still coming. People who are watching closely can feel it. Local religious leaders claim that spiritual activity around the Temple Mount has noticeably increased. For 500 years, the Golden Gate's silence has spoken for itself. Its stillness has been a message. Its sealed state has served as a reminder of divine timing and patience. But now that silence appears to be shifting, that stillness seems to be stirring. The gate doesn't need to swing wide open to send a message. Just the smallest movement can send shockwaves through those who understand its prophetic role. The Golden Gate and the Mount of Olives are perfectly aligned. From the gate, you can look straight across to the mountain with nothing blocking the view. From the Mount of Olives, you can see the gate directly, unobstructed. No other place in Jerusalem has this exact face-to-face symmetry. But what turns this from remarkable to almost supernatural is what lies beneath the surface. The bedrock under both the Mount of Olives and the Golden Gate is part of the same limestone formation. Geologically, they are one continuous structure. So when Zechariah described the Mount of Olives splitting apart, he was describing a force powerful enough to shake the entire underground foundation connecting these prophetic locations. Modern seismologists have identified a fault line running directly from the Mount of Olives toward the Golden Gate, and recent surveys have detected a rise in micro-tremors along this very path. Tiny vibrations happening far more often than normal tectonic activity would suggest. Jerusalem appears in biblical prophecy more than any other city, over 800 times. And the majority of those references don't describe ancient history, but the future. They speak not of what Jerusalem once was, but what it is destined to become. At the center of these prophecies stands the Golden Gate, the symbolic doorway between this present age and the age that is coming. And the developments we're seeing today read like a prophetic checklist slowly coming alive. The Sanhedrin has been revived. Temple vessels are fully recreated. Red heifer candidates are being raised for the first time in centuries. The Jewish calendar is entering significant prophetic cycles. Global politics are shifting in ways that mirror ancient scriptures. And through all of this movement, the Golden Gate remains untouched, preserved not for preparation, but for the moment when preparation becomes fulfillment. For Jews, this gate is the place where their Messiah will enter to restore Israel. For Christians, it marks the very path Jesus will take at his second coming. For Muslims, it is Bab al-Ra, the Gate of Mercy. Three major faiths, three interpretations, yet all focus on the same doorway and the same hope. The Hebrew name reveals its purpose clearly. Shahar HaShamim, the Gate of Mercy, not wrath, not judgment, mercy. Whenever this gate finally opens, it won't be an act of destruction, it will be an act of divine compassion, arriving at the exact moment humanity needs it most. Recently, interfaith leaders in Jerusalem have held quiet, unprecedented discussions about the Golden Gate. Rabbis, Christian pastors, and Islamic scholars, all sensing that something significant may be drawing near. They don't agree on every doctrine, but on one point they stand united. The long season of waiting may be nearing its end. Temple vessels have been recreated. Red heifer candidates are being prepared. The Jewish calendar is entering key prophetic windows. Global events continue to echo ancient predictions. And through it all, the Golden Gate stands in perfect silence, kept not for the buildup, but for the moment the prophecy itself awakens. For Jews, it is the entrance of their Messiah. For Christians, it is the path of the returning Christ. For Muslims, it remains the Gate of Mercy. Three faiths, one doorway, and one future. When this gate finally opens, it won't open for destruction. It will open as an act of divine mercy, arriving at the exact moment humanity needs it most. Recently, interfaith leaders in Jerusalem have held quiet, unprecedented meetings about the Golden Gate. Rabbis, Christian pastors, and Islamic scholars, all sensing that something significant is drawing near. Their beliefs may differ, but on one point they all agree: the long season of waiting may be nearing its end. Even this growing unity is in its own way prophetic. Leaders from 3 major world faiths are feeling the same urgency, focused on the same place at the same moment in history. That alone is remarkable. Every empire that tried to destroy this gate has failed. Every ruler who attempted to control it eventually fell. Every effort to open it too soon has been mysteriously stopped. Why? Because this gate doesn't belong to any government or leader. It belongs to prophecy. For nearly 2,000 years, the Golden Gate has stood as a symbol of patient expectation, a reminder that God's timing can never be forced, a silent witness that his promises may take time, but they are never abandoned. Every day it remains closed is another day of mercy. Every year it stays sealed is another chance for humanity to return to God. Its silence speaks louder than any sermon. Its stillness says more than any theological argument. Its resistance to human interference proves what books can't: that some doors can only be opened by the one who holds the keys. Prophecy waits. Prophecy is exact. Prophecy cannot be stopped. What God declares, he fulfills, never according to human schedules, but always on divine timing. And that timing is perfect. Now the gate that has been sealed for centuries seems to be stirring. It doesn't open like an ordinary doorway. It awakens like a living prophecy. Bricks can't restrain it, stones can't silence it, and graves cannot stand in the way of something ordained long before they were placed there. When God decides something will happen, creation itself bends to make room. Seismic activity is rising along the prophetic fault line. Global politics are shifting in patterns Scripture described long ago. World events echo the warnings Jesus gave about the end times. Spiritual activity around the Temple Mount is intensifying, and in the middle of all this stands the Golden Gate, showing its first signs of movement in 500 years. Something is stirring in the spiritual realm around this ancient threshold. The same spirit who moved prophets to write about this gate thousands of years ago is moving again today. The same divine power that protected it through wars, empires, and centuries is preparing it for its final purpose. The stones are starting to shift. The seals are beginning to strain. The long silence is breaking. After half a millennium, the Golden Gate of Jerusalem is awakening from its prophetic sleep. And when it fully opens, when the one who holds the keys steps through, everything will change forever. This gate has remained sealed for 5 centuries, not to keep the Messiah out, but to preserve the moment of his arrival. Its closure has never been a barrier. It has been preparation protected across generations. It has waited for the exact moment when his return will shake the world. The countdown isn't written on calendars. It's written in the stones, stones that have stayed still for 500 years, but now seem to be stirring. Are you ready for what comes next? Because ready or not, the gate is waking. Prophecies once scattered across time are beginning to align. What were whispers are turning into tremors. And when that gate finally opens, when the King of Kings walks through the passage that has waited 2,000 years, every nation will witness the fulfillment of the greatest promise ever spoken. That moment may be closer than we dare to imagine.